How are you doing today? It's very, very important for us to have this live stream because we are witnessing the most cataclysmic 72 hours in the Sahel in 2026. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is an ordinary live stream. Three stories have just broken in the last 72 hours. And when you connect the three of the stories, it's only points to one thing that the Western influence across the Sahel is diminishing by the day. And this is the information that the West will not want you to have. And how do we know that the West will not want you to have this information? We are seeing it across um, even what we do every day and how we try to reach out to you. You know, the censorship and everything. We know that it is of the interest of certain people that certain information should not get to you. But that is why we work overtime to bring you this information. So it is very, very important to bring this information to you, articulating everything together so that you will understand better. And some people are giving this information without the proper context. And a lot of people have sent different messages to me. Some are confused about what the interest of certain bloggers are. So today we will be exposing everything to you. So tell you everything about where the Sahel is headed in 2026. In the last 72 hours, a 2 million euro. Look at that figure right there, euro, right? And that is to tell you that it has everything to do with this live stream and it's very important. So a 2 million euro bounty. And across board, there were other figures, financial figure, right? That was placed on different members of the Malian authorities by the JNIM. But we definitely know the JNIM is not responsible for this communique with this bounty. According to the information they gave, a 2 million euro bounty have been placed on the president of Mali, a French DGSE agent or operative was sentenced to 20 years imprisonment. And there is a call for humanitarian intervention in Kidal. According to the information we have, the news is getting tighter on the FLA and JNIM troops in Kidal, and there is no corridor out. And Mali is not ready to listen to any negotiation to give a sort of humanitarian corridor. Now, you must have been seeing different videos from the FLA that the Malian forces are carrying out different crimes in Kidal. You will ask the question, why are they bringing this video out? According to the information we received, this video is supposed to be the pretext, supposed to be the premise for the Western lobby to help the FLA that are trapped inside Kidal to get a sort of humanitarian exit from Kidal. That is if there are still any of them in Kidal. That is a big question we need to answer. So, three stories, one question. Is this the most dangerous week the Sahel has seen this year? Ladies and gentlemen, you will be the judge. But first of all, I want to welcome you to this live stream. And if you're joining from wherever you're joining, please help us hit the like button so that this information can get to the people that needs to hear this information, because a lot of people have gotten this headline, but they are not getting the proper context. And context is as important as even the information itself. So let's do it. Now, before we break down each of this, let's frame up why this momentum matters. According to information we are witnessing right now, is a convergence. Usually these stories would eat separately, you know. According to the information we have, a military operation here and there, a diplomatic crisis, maybe intelligence revelation weeks later. But the fact that those three things are coming simultaneously, you know, the French DGSE agent was sentenced to 20 years imprisonment. The first time is happening in Africa. Yes, across Africa. No African country has ever tried this before. No African country has ever tried this. To catch an intelligence operative and slap double decade. You see, Mali behaves differently and we need to give them a lot of a lot of respect for how they engage and how they apply their foreign policy and how they stand on business every time. You see, this is not random. This is a very, very big pressure point at this moment. Mali slapped 20 years with fines on a French DGSE agent, and the next day, you are hearing that the JNIM released a communique declaring the Malian government. Look at it very well. I want you to articulate this first of all. The next day, the French the JNIM, you know who they represent, they released the communique saying that any credible information that can lead to the capture of whoever they are trying to, they said there's 2 million euro. So they did not even take their time to change the currency to, the colonial currency called the CFA franc. They were so tired, they were so lazy to do their, all the mathematics properly. They put the euros. You know why they put the euro? They want us to know that we are coming to get you. You know what I'm saying? And it is because of the importance of analysis like this. That is why they do everything. Every little infraction, they call it a community guideline violation. So that you don't hear the truth. The truth is very, very hard to find these days. Now, all of this means that the rules are changing. And ladies and gentlemen, I've been studying the region for over a year now, and I can tell you when the JNIM puts, not the JNIM, but when they put a price on the Malian president through the proxy of the JNIM, if you understand that the JNIM is a proxy, then you know what we're talking about. When a French spy gets sentenced, not in Paris, but in the Sahel, and when the siege across the Kidal theater of operation gets to a point where, the besieged, which are the FLA coalition that came from which was an outset of the MNLA, when they are now asking the United Nations to negotiate their exits, you definitely know that the rules of engagement has changed. And when Russia sits at the pressure point and stopping everything, Russia and China stopping every move that these people want to do by creating a situation where they can call for humanitarian intervention, bring back their MINUSMA occupying forces, where Russia and China stand against that narrative, it means a lot. All right? It means that the Western influence across the Sahel is fading. And when you have countries like the United States trying to find a way to reapproach themselves with the Sahel, then the calculus of geopolitics across West Africa has changed completely. So with regards to this story today, so ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the proper information. According to information from intelligence sources, JNIM, Jamatu, Muslimin, and Nusrat, the al-Qaeda affiliate in the Sahel, they brought out an information. They released a communique placing a 2 million euro. It's supposed to be 2 million CFA franc, a 2 million euro bounty on General Assimi Goïta, the president of Mali. Now let us sink in. A 2 million euro bounty. Do they have the money? Whenever you neutralize a JNI combatant, what do they look like on the line of contact? They look disgruntled, all right? They look like, pardon me, I don't want to use too many language so that they won't call it a violation of community guideline. So a terrorist organization is publicly putting a price on a sitting president, not a general in the field, and not a local commander. The president of a big country and a well-to-do country like Mali, a rich country like Mali. According to the report confirmed by Reuters. Now look at the sources that they are using to promote this type of information, right? They are using Reuters. You have to understand, all right? And let me make this clarification. Some people, when they hear Reuters, they think it's RT. RT is different from Reuters, all right? These are Western sources. So on June 13, this bounty was announced through JNIM propaganda channel. It was now JNIM propaganda channel, right? But who gave it publicity? Reuters. All right. I don't even know the JNIM propaganda channel. They did not specify, but they quoted that, all right, it's coming from Reuters, but Reuters we know. So this is how they push their intention to the public opinion. Now, the bounty was announced through JNIM propaganda channel. The message was clear. Anyone who delivers, anyone who eliminates. Now look at it. Anyone who delivers, anyone who gives them credible information about the whereabouts of certain people, anyone who eliminates gets 2 million euro. So this means something. What they cannot achieve on the battlefield, they are trying to achieve it through putting a bounty. April 25th, they went for the defense minister, they went for the president. But you know what happened? They came for the president. They came with fighters. They came with vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. But permit me to say this. I'm not a Malian and I don't know too many things about Mali. But I do know that, you see, those men surrounding General Assimi Goïta, those guys are phenomenal fighters. Those guys are not just, they are not just there for decoration. They've really earned their reputation. According to the information we received from the Russian forces, they said the presidential guards, they fought on a close combat situation, destroying the vehicle-borne improvised explosive device and all the enemy combatants that came with, they accompanied the improvised explosive device, sitting at a perimeter about 300 meters away, just to watch whatever is supposed to happen. No. Those guys made sure they thwarted the plan and they destroyed every enemy personnel on site. So those guys earned their reputation. And the way I look at those guys, I definitely know from my eye test that those guys are really different. So, they lied. They said General Assimi Goïta was evacuated to Niger. Later on, they said through Sadat. They did not even know the situation because based on their plan, things were not supposed to go that way. All right. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you for the donation. I really appreciate it. Much love and respect. So, after they failed, now, ladies and gentlemen, here is the thing. When you move like this and you have to ask yourself, is this confidence? Based on the reports from the entire Western coalition, intelligence source, logistic, diplomatic means, because they use diplomatic means to activate their proxies like Mauritania and Algeria, who permitted the infiltration into Mali, ignoring the CMA collaboration they have to share intelligence and all of that. So they put all the mechanical and technical wherewithal they have in place, hoping that it was going to be successful, but unfortunately for them, it failed. So we have to ask a critical question. Now you are placing a bounty. In Europe, do they spend euro in Mali? Absolutely not. So this only means one thing. They failed on the battlefield. And what they could not achieve on the battlefield, they are trying to achieve it through betrayal. This is how, we understand espionage. We know that the word is synonymous to the people that Mali is fighting against. So is this desperation or is this confidence? When you listen to the Western media, the way they spoke about the April 25 attack, you think it's confidence. But within the shortest period of time, we were able to prove that now is desperation. And it's desperation for a whole lot of reasons. The conflict in Iran. All right? And, the fact that a lot of people across Africa is beginning to look at the unipolar order and they are beginning to say, wait a minute. Are you sure we want to continue to relate with you? Are you aware that Belgium, recently, they pushed out a French company in charge of uranium? They terminated their contracts and they sent them out of Belgium. So with the news getting tighter on France, do you think it is important to become desperate? Or do you think it is important for France to become confident? So when you are confident, you need some fundamental backup to boost your morale. Then they call it confidence. Oh, I'm sure that this with this and this and this will give me this. You see, when you look at everything from the Africa Forward Summit to now trying to sneak their way back into Chad, you know that this is desperate time. And desperate time means that the Alliance of Sahel States should not sleep on their accolade. They should activate the desperate buttons. Measures that should be put in place to take care of this desperate move by their enemies, because this is obviously the plot of their enemies. So let's move forward. You see, if the JNIM are winning on the battlefield, they would not put a bounty on a president. They will not do it. Why not just go ahead and complete the job? After the April 25 onslaught, the Malians crushed it with a brutal counter-offensive. We saw the airstrike. And from that day forward, we went on a serial campaign, bringing you the direct information from the front line. Even if they try to, our communities on sanction and all of that, we continue to bring out the untainted information from the front line. And with that, this is not what they want to hear. And now let me give you another perspective so that you can understand why this perspective that we're giving you is very, very important. Recently, you see, on YouTube, when you watch your FYP, you discover that there are some false information that is becoming very common these days, that Ukraine and their foreign legion is winning in Russia. And this propaganda went on for a while. Even while you are watching the video, you can see them being displaced from wherever they said they are occupying. And in the midst of the entire propaganda, Russia befuddled everybody in Konstantinivka. Now you have Ukrainian forces surrounded. Now, how does the Ukrainian frontline relate to Mali? Ladies and gentlemen, it is very, very important that the only war the West know how to win is the war of propaganda. And it has been effective for a very long time. So April 25 was supposed to represent something. Thank you so much for the donation. April 25 was supposed to represent something. We could not push Russia out of Ukraine, but we defeated them in Mali. Get the game. That was the game. Don't fall for the noise. Get the game. The game was, if you look at the Western media reports, they were like, Russia has failed in Mali. Russia, that's the point. They called the government of the Sahel Russian-backed. They want to tell you that Russia is not strong enough to protect anything. They cannot wield any geopolitical influence outside Moscow. But no, it failed. And now, when you look at the debacle in Konstantinivka, very close to the Dnipro River, it means that this is another huge failure. So what can they do? Let's do more. Now you are seeing the bounty. It means they cannot even get close to Bamako. They made a threat recently that they were going to be attacking Gao. But according to the information we received on the front line, as of yesterday, the reconnaissance around the entire territory of Gao, even the outskirts, there was nothing close to an incursion. So what does this mean? It means that some people are just trying to shake the tree. Sort of media terrorism. We've been talking about this on the Android community. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing. The fact that they are now resorting to a public bounty tells us something very clearly. It means that Goïta has become untouchable. If he can be touched, they would have touched him. And diplomatically, if he can be defeated, diplomatically, they would have defeated him. If they can infiltrate him, they would have infiltrated. They would have infiltrated his ranks. If they can use agents, they would have used them. But they continue to fail. And recently, I was reading a journal where the Western sources address Mali as ideologically the most radical and impervious of the three Alliance of Sahel states. Why are they saying it? Because when they try to show some love, one of the countries among all of them that says, and that's Mali. All right. This is becoming more shameful by the day. And as we continue to move on in this stream, you will understand what I'm trying to say. Now, you see, the Malian armed forces, together with their Russian partner, in the African core, have created a security architecture around the presidency that the JNIM cannot penetrate kinetically. So they are trying to economically, put a price. Anybody can be tempted to take the money. That's what they're trying to do. You know, 2 million euro. The question is, are you ready to sell your integrity for 2 million euro? They once used some Malian officers, there are some of which were neutralized on the line of contact on April 25 by a police officer. You remember the one they call Abedi Pele? So they might try to move again. Like, okay, if we can convince someone, maybe they will be greedy enough to take it again. We'll see how it goes from there. Now, JNIM is not stupid. They know that even if nobody collects the bounty, the announcement itself will do some damage. All right. It makes people look at the president and wonder if he's going to be safe. It makes people worried. This is called psychological warfare. And that is why I called it media terrorism. Because the entire aim, there's a reason why they call it terror. Because it takes people out of their comfort zone physically and mentally, even emotionally and spiritually sometimes. So that is the essence of this whole thing. And you should ask yourself a question at this point. Is terrorism an African invention? Did we even name it terrorism? Who created this thing? Why did they call it what they called it? It's Western invention. And the good side of what I do here is that anytime I'm speaking to you, sometimes you see me get animated and I'm talking to the screen. I'm saying I'm speaking to certain people through this screen, and I know they can watch me sometimes. But we are fearlessly sending the message out there that we understand the intention of every move and every step they take. And in this journey, we are going to be side by side with them, breaking down their propaganda and, every trick they're trying to put out there. Now, you see, what we do know is that, in my opinion, this bounty is a direct response to what happened on April 25. You see, ladies and gentlemen, April 25 was supposed to be the day the alliance of Sahel, you know, April 25 was going to be the day when that name Alliance of Sahel was supposed to crumble. If they take Mali, they have direct access to Niger and Burkina Faso. So that would have been the end. All right. But unfortunately, and given the capability and the wherewithal of the Malian armed forces, it was the biggest threat. So why not weaken, them and destabilize with the forces from install a puppet like Deco and all of that. But that did not happen. That was not possible. So since they failed in Mali, you can see that some things are beginning to happen in the northern part of Niger. Well, it's not over. What were these things? Now, why did we even call this a failure? All right. In my opinion, April 25 was supposed to be a very good day for them, but since it ended in a negative way, the French did not only fail, the JNIM and the FLA did not only fail, Algeria did not only fail, Mauritania did not only fail. You see, Ukrainian Foreign Legion, they failed in Mali. French intelligence apparatus failed in Mali. FLA elements failed in Mali. They all converged and they were defeated. The Malian armed forces and the Russia African Corps, they made sure that deterrence, that standard was put in place. So, and what response did the Malians give apart from the kinetic, which is beyond obvious at this point? According to the information that we are getting, President Assimi Goïta has not acknowledged this information publicly because it's nothing to be acknowledged, all right? He has continued his schedule. He has continued meeting with military commanders. He has continued governing. He has continued his scheduled activities. Even his travel, he has traveled the way he's supposed to travel. And when you place the 2 million euro bounty on somebody and every activity continues the way they are supposed to go, it means something. It means the Malian armed forces are not bothered. It means the president is not bothered at all. All right. So what we do know at this point is that the silence from Assimi Goïta is a message on its own. And you know the biggest response that we've always gotten from General Assimi Goïta is his silence. There was a time when everybody was saying, oh, General Assimi Goïta should talk to us, he should speak, and he didn't talk for so long. I think that's his best way of speaking, of addressing any escalation. He keeps quiet. All right. You know, the bounty is just, should I say, another chapter in the same book of failure. Now, moving forward, I want to connect this to something bigger. When you look at the trajectory of the AES, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, these are leaders who have survived multiple assassination attempts. Captain Ibrahim Traore has faced how many? General Abdurrahmani Chiani has faced, I think, the few Wests. Then General Assimi Goïta has faced a couple assassination attempts, and they've prevailed. So this bounty is just the latest attempt. So they know if they do it covertly, they will be exposed. Because if a French DGSE agent can be exposed, it means that anything they want to do covertly will be exposed. So what they're trying to do right now is, okay, let's forget respect. Let's do it the dirty way. Let's throw it open. Let's see if anyone is greedy enough to betray their country. So Mali is not fighting JNIM. Mali is fighting the people that supplies the weapon. Mali is fighting the same people that destabilize Libya, that turn Libya into a puppet state. Libya is not even a state. Don't forget. Libya is no longer a state. It's not functioning as a state. It's divided, balkanized, being led by different armed groups. Look at what happened to the son of Gaddafi recently. So the people that caused the chaos in Libya, they have a plan in Mali. Because when they recruited the Bedouin Arabs to wage war against Libya, and you see, the reason why the Bedouin Arabs are easily recruited is because they are not seen as Arabs. They are not accepted as Arabs. You see, the Tuaregs, I don't know, there's a reason why, they are not really accepted as Arabs. Even in Algeria, go and look at where the Tuaregs stay most of the time, is the isolated region. So, it's the underdeveloped region. And it is not because there are not some Tuaregs that live in the urban settlement and all of that. There will be some of them, but the Tuaregs are not really accepted in the Arab world, as they are the nomadic elements of the Arab world. So they were looking at northern Mali as a place to assemble themselves with northern Niger. So if you help us destabilize Libya, we are going to carve out some of this territory. And you know why this whole punitive behavior by the West, seemed to take some shape? It was because the Berlin Conference was even allowed to establish some very satanic, balkanization of Africa. Because some group of people felt like they were powerful enough to divide people, divide tribes, divide families, divide neighbors without any consequence. That's why they feel Like, okay, if we wake up tomorrow and we say northern Benin and northern Mali belongs to the Bedouin Arab, nobody will challenge us. But that era of impunity, that era of unilateral, unipolar, hegemon is over. It's over. There's no reversing it. There can only be a way to wrap it all up and maybe facade and decorate it, but there is no reversing that decline of the unipolar world. Now, you see, it is very, very important for us to understand something, that this psychological aspect cannot be understated. Now, you see, according to the information that we also received, not quite long from this whole bounty thing, Jan Vasily, who was a proper French combatant, from combatant, worked in the French intelligence, who also worked in Libya, worked in Syria, worked in Afghanistan, in Mosul, a confirmed operative of the DGSE, France External Intelligence Agency, has been sentenced to 20 years imprisonment with hard labor and also fine in Mali. You see, you should underline that hard labor, please. All right. Let's underline hard labor. Very, very important. All right. Now, the funny aspect of the whole thing is, you see, the French government has denied that they don't know anything about this and all of that. They claim that they are partners, they claim that they want stability, but yet, when you look at who they call a diplomat, who was a very, very strategic agent in the destabilization of Libya, he was there as a so-called diplomat at the time, not a contractor, not a mercenary, a career intelligence officer. So he was convicted of espionage against a sovereign African state. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot make this up. According to the information we have, Vasily was operating under diplomatic cover. You see, you will not just put somebody, all right? You will not put an intelligence agent, probably an MI5, a DGSC, MI6, CIA. You will not put them in another country and call them CIA. You have to put them under a cover. So, Ian Vasily in Mali was a DGSE agent working under diplomatic cover. They called him a diplomat. So that's why when you see those people come to your country, they are NGO workers, you just have to be careful because you don't know who you are dealing with. They always come smiling, but they have their plans. All right. So, according to the information we got, it was working under diplomatic cover. It was embedded in the networks that were gathering intelligence and military information. According to the information we have, they were gathering intelligence on the military capability of the entire AES state. It was mapping troop movement. It was identifying command structure. It was getting reports. It was getting reports from some collaborators. Now, this is the most important thing. It was getting reports from some collaborators. This same thing happened. The INSO NGO in Niger. I think in Burkina Faso too. So it was getting information on the number of troops, the capability they had in certain military bases. So, you see, this is what I've been saying. The French presence in West Africa was never about development, was never about, oh, let us go and give them. It is not just, you see, when they say, let us go and give them democracy or let's go and defend democracy, is a lot that you need to know. You don't have to be at war for them to plant all these elements in your country. You need to take one step against their interests. And all these latent elements will be activated. They were dormant, but they will be activated. And there are people within your country that are citizens that have been on their payroll for a long time. So when they are activated and they just start and they begin to make certain moves, you see them as normal citizens. You don't see them as agents of espionage. But they've long been, they've just been activated because it's time. You see, Africans don't think like these people. We think life is free, let's go and eat. You know, these people you are dealing with, they plan for the unexpected. Because because when it happens, they will be prepared because they already have everything in place. So, according to the information we have, everybody celebrated when France was kicked out of the Sahel. But do you think would you tell me now that they left? No, they didn't leave. They had France is still now. When you hear from French sources through the what's the name of this channel? France 24, RFI, and the rest. Do you remember what they said? They said during April 25 attack, they said we are closely monitoring the situation on the ground. What does that tell you? As a tactical civilian, as a tactical analyst, what does that tell you? It's not fluke that they said they are closely monitoring the information. The questions you ask is, who are these agents? Who are these elements that are giving them a feedback on what is going on the ground? Do they need to go through Mauritania to be in Mali? And when they send their journalists, who are those people that go to welcome them? Who are those normal people in Mali that when they move into territories that should raise suspicion, people will not normally be suspicious when they see them? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a lot. Now, you see, the sentencing of Ian Vesely, a French citizen and is a French intelligence asset, all right, it's unprecedented. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, when an African country, Africa, when has an African country ever sentenced a French intelligence officer? It's not an asset, it's an officer, because they are the ones that recruits the assets. When has any African country ever sentenced a French intelligence officer to double decades of terms in prison? I don't think it has ever happened, and I don't think it will. Mali has just thrown sand in everybody's face that what you think we can't do, we will do it. And we will even double the judgment if you want. And this is a big deterrence message that Mali will not tolerate nonsense. That is what a lot of African countries will not do. Have you heard anything concerning the terms of agreement about the operation of the French forces in Kenya? That if they commit any offense, the Kenyan government would not do anything about it. They will not be prosecuted. They will not be harassed under any provision of the Kenyan laws. They will not. So the question we should be asking, that apart from some countries like the AES in the African continent, is the rest of Africa, are they being recolonized as we speak? So, now let me say this, all right? The sentencing of Vesely to 20 years imprisonment is unprecedented. When an African country sentenced a French intelligence officer to 2 decades in prison, it signals to something. The France is always struggling, and we always struggle to accept. The era of impunity is over. You see, when Emmanuel Macron traveled to Ouagadougou and he was making jest of Rochman Kabore, everybody, they were laughing, and some people got angry, But he was laughing, and when he was asked in Paris, he said Africans need to grow a thicker skin. What Mali is saying is that you won't even be opportune to try that with us. The era of impunity is over. You know. But wait, because the story doesn't really end there. According to information, Vesilia was not operating alone. And based on the report we are getting now from our sources, the investigation continues. All right, the investigation continues. They have prosecuted and they have, Vasily has been impounded. All right, for the next 20 years. Imagine what will happen. What will it look like when it comes out of that, that penitentiary, that correctional facility, when it comes out? Will it still be a DGSE? It will be very old. But the question now is, there is investigation going on, because according to the information we had during the interrogation, Vasily made a lot of confession. And according to the information we have, some of these elements have been hunted down. Some have left Mali, some are still within Mali. But you can't just go grab anybody. You need concrete evidence before you can say, oh, we have you, we got you, just like they got Vasily. All right. So this is a network and the investigation is ongoing. The question is, who else was connected to this? And what other asset did the DGSE have in the region? Not just Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and probably Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire. I know surely that they have a lot of assets in Dakar, Senegal. They have too many assets inside Dakar. Dakar especially. They have too many. In fact, I believe the elements they have inside Dakar is greater than any other African country. I have seen so many reports, declassified reports. And when you hear the name of their location, it is always from Dakar, Senegal. Dakar, Senegal. I'll be like, what the? I heard Dakar so much to the point where I felt like, is Dakar Senegal is Dakar another country? Or is this Dakar the capital of another country? Is it different from the one in Senegal? The question is, who is that neighbor around Mali that can be used too well? That is Senegal. Because the Malians see Senegalese as brothers, born of the same parents, of the same ancestors. So that is why you have a lot of these assets planted in Senegal. So when they were displaced from the AES, they did not go back to France. They purely shifted to Benin at the time, they shifted to Senegal, and they shifted to Cote d'Ivoire. And their seat of intelligence, their command control structure are seriously embedded in Dakar. Seriously embedded to a point where it's scary. So, and that is why Sonko is a very big threat to them. So you see all this upheaval in Senegal, it is because maybe Sonko sees all these things. Maybe Sonko is the one that will undo all these things. And Sonko probably, threatens the interest of France. Do they have Bashiru Diomaye Faye? Absolutely they do. But we'll see how things develop from here, We'll see how things develop. So we need to talk about the last one of this. We've actually talked about the bounty. We've talked about the arrest of Ian Vasily. So in the last 72 hours is equally very important. All right. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much for the words of encouragement. She definitely see it. So uh, so we have another information, right? I just got a very very terrible update about Nigeria just now. But I don't do Nigeria information. Update just drops right now. It just dropped from Sahara Reporters, but we'll be dealing with that another time. That will be a mouth-to-mouth conversation with me and my Nigerian brothers here. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we need to talk about the third information, which is equally important, that is coming out in the last 72 hours. The siege of Kidal, right? According to the information, the Malian armed forces and the Russian African Corps have completely encircled the remaining FLA and JNIM elements and, other coalition that helped them, including the MPLJ elements in the Kidal region. There is no corridor out. The besieged forces are being called, you know, to action, and their action has failed them. So the UN has been called upon to pressure the Malian government to negotiating an exit. According to information, they want a humanitarian passage. You see, we've seen this before, and one of the biggest example of this is Mosul. All right, Mosul, the last stronghold or stronghold of the ISIS. A lot of people talk about Aleppo, but the clean example is Mosul. All right. This is every urban siege where the besieged realize they cannot fight their way out and suddenly discover their humanitarian concern. And that was why they have been making threats recently that they were going to attack this location. They were going to attack this location. They've been making different propaganda video. All right. The question is, why should you make propaganda video? Why should you show me that you are coming if you really, really want to come? You shouldn't show me. I should just see you. Your best asset is the asymmetric weapon. So why not leverage on that strength you have? Why making videos that you're coming? It is because they wouldn't do it. It is because there is confusion. It is because they know that the temperature of Kidal is extreme. And I don't know if you remember, after some days they said that the water tower was damaged and here and there. Are they surviving? Are they still surviving? I trust the Malian armed forces to do things the right way and do things carefully. All right. So now the United Nations has not been able to do this because the United Nations equally understand the context of what we are dealing with here. Backing, you know, coming out to back a terrorist organization, all right, is going to affect anybody that stands in for them for a very long time. It might not be now. It might be later. Thank you for catching me live. Thank you for catching me live. All right. So now, according to the information, they said on one hand, these are enemy combatants. These are people who have terrorized Mali for over a decade. They have killed civilians. They have destroyed communities. If you go to our Telegram channel, you will see a lot of videos and pictures of the type of atrocities that these people carry out while laughing. And if you have, if you have not joined our Telegram channel, this is your opportunity. And a lot of people used to ask me for the Telegram channel, for the link to our Telegram channel. It's on our bio. All right. So they have done a lot. And one of the ones released lately, I know a lot of people have seen the video where they were throwing people inside a certain place inside. The people on our Telegram, you have the clear knowledge of that information, right? So, welcome, Tracy Mensa. Oh, welcome to the house. Welcome to the house, brother. So when they are now asking for a humanitarian corridor, a lot of Malians says, where was your humanitarian concern where you were born in villages? Where was your humanitarian concern when you were displacing a lot of people? Where was your corridor when you were kidnapping children? Where was your corridor? Where you neutralized over 300 people during the time of Sandao Godamiba in Burkina Faso? Where was your humanitarian corridor? when you attack the Nigerian. See, there is no talk of humanitarian corridor here. The FLA did not think about humanitarian corridor when they announced publicly that they are now going to be operating as one with the JNIM, a known al-Qaeda affiliate in the Sahel. So the question is the United Nations going to publicly back a terrorist organization? So that is the information we are going to be asking. That is why you see that the FLA in Kidal, they are now making different propaganda to stain the image of the Malian forward operating deployment, so that they can say, oh, because civilian lives are threatened, because the humanitarian condition is bad, all right, let's just go in and let's just bring out the civilian or something. And while they are bringing out the civilian, these elements will run away or something like that. It's not going to happen. The Malians have said it will not happen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I also work at night, but I'm not even supposed to have this live stream. What happened was that the video we released, the video we just released right now, right? Before they shut me down, you get the message, right? So the last video we dropped, they removed all the ad revenue completely. They said because we showed receipts that were too gruesome. They said the things we showed there were too gruesome. So that is why I looked at the whole thing and I was like, what is going on? All right. Yeah, the question is, if I create another YouTube channel, will you follow? That's the big question. If I create another YouTube channel and I say, okay, we want a 1,000 subscriber to that YouTube channel, just stand by, would you subscribe to the channel? That's it, right? So when they're asking for humanitarian corridor, have they thought about, all right, I know you will, have they thought about the things they did, including the attack on the defense minister, the blessed memory, General Sadio Kamara? Did they think about that? So, the Malian commanders made their decision. Now, let me tell you something that is very, very important, right? And that is the 2 million bounty, the French spy that was sentenced, and after the French spy was sentenced, you had the JNIM coming out with a bounty, everything that was in that report shows you that it was a Western report. It was not a JNIM. And even, the JN, how would the JNIM place Euro as the bounty? It is because, and no exit siege, from Kidal. So when you put these three things together, the panic communique, the siege of Kidal with no corridor for the terrorists to go out, and when you look at the French spy that was given 20 years of, with hard labor, with fine, I don't know his age right now, but I know that when he comes out of that prison, he's never going to be the same man again. All right. So so that but I believe he was trained for moments like this. If you get captured, you're expendable. If you get captured, you can. I know he's prepared for everything. Thank you, brother. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for joining the live stream. So when you look at the different caveats and you connect the dots, here is what it tells you. The enemy of the AAS are running out of options. All right. If they're not running out of options, they won't be acting desperate. And they are escalating on every available front simultaneously. The kinetic front, they tried on April 25, it failed. The intelligence front, they tried to use a coup d'etat, they use foreign assets, they were captured. And Hiam Vesilier, together with his accomplices, they were sentenced to long prison time. And the assassination front, they tried different means, it didn't work. Captain Ibrahim Traore is the master when it comes to that one. They've done their best. So they are looking at Burkina Faso right now like, man, this is... So let's try Mali. And I think something about Niger is how quick General Abdurrahmani Chiani is about to know what they are planning before they even come. He knows about it months. So we'll see what happens, right? Because all of this, is a symbol that what the French and their allies used to do back then, that made a lot of people look at them like they were impossible to confront and challenge. We are seeing it fail before our very eyes. So this only means that the multipolar world will surely prevail over the unipolar world. Because don't forget, the unipolar world, they all turned their back against Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Remember, they all told their companies to leave. That was not enough. They told Air France to leave. And now they are begging for Air France to come back. That is to show you that they failed on every front and they are seriously desperate. I know a lot of people have asked me, Andre, why are you not giving a non-biased point of view? They ask me, why am I always pro AES? Why can't I just give a neutral, non-biased, opinion? And well, you know, when the attack on Mali took place on April 25th, I want you to show me one Western media that condemned the action of the terrorists. I want you to show me one Western media that condemned the action of the JNIM. I remember the attack on Paris. They started showing the Eiffel Tower and a lot of people were saying, oh, we are with Paris. We are with Paris. We are with Paris. But when is Mali? In fact, they were literally celebrating the attack until it failed completely. All right. So, and the fact that we choose to be on the side of truth, they are doing a lot to stop us. You might not know, but I do know they are doing a lot to stop us. And if I was a type that I love a lot of money, man, I would have disappeared a long time ago. So the thing is, what Mali is deciding right now is that they would not tolerate any type of infiltration to their internal affairs. Even when they released the communique and they responded to the offer from President Romuald Wadagni recently, they said non-interference in internal affairs. They are very, very careful to state that always. And that is what we are seeing right now. So the question is not whether the AES will survive. The question is who will stand with them. Because the answer is very, very clear. Captain Ibrahim Traore have said that they will stand on the side of truth, and anybody that stands with them, they will stand with. Captain Ibrahim Traore said they will not be a master of anybody, and they will equally not be a slave of anybody. All right? If you stand with them, they will stand with you. They will not be the master of anybody. They will not impose themselves on anybody. And nobody will impose themselves on their interests. I don't think anything is wrong in this. All right? I don't think anything is... I don't see anything wrong in that message. I won't be your master and I won't be your slave. So what does that bring you? It brings you the message of equality. As long as you can respect us, Don't meddle in our internal affairs. Don't tell us that we are stomping on, the right of civil society and all of that. And have you heard that recently Captain Ibrahim Traore has cancelled another 240 something? I can't really tell the exact figure right now. He has cancelled another 200, over 200, and civil society organization and some NGOs again. You know, I don't know what to say, right? But I will be very, very honest with you that it's very, very important that they continue to cancel them until the enemy just see that, okay, there is nothing, all right, we can do anymore. Is Chad the latest enemy? Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue to monitor the information and bring you the reports from the front. I want to appreciate everybody for joining this live stream. And about Flo coming to the stream, yeah, she's in the acclimatization phase where she has to get used to doing the normal video. Then from the video she will transition into doing both video and live stream, because sometimes I will be in the hospital and sometimes I will be around and sometimes I won't be around. Thank you for loving our show. And sometimes I won't be around. Okay, so if I'm not around, I don't have to bother. I just have to relay the information to someone who will bring the information to you. And thank you for encouraging her. You know, like I said the Android community will help. So the encouragement has really given her it has positioned her properly, and now she has the belief that she can try, she can even do better. So let us help to project that spirit of we can do more. So I will equally appreciate if many individuals from the Android community can independently, in their own different locations, continue to share this information. That is why I've never been against several individuals having their own channels where they can make sure that we can bypass the blockade of the West on the truth, because that is what this is. They are trying to block the truth. Now look at it. Mali sentenced a DGSE agent to 20 years imprisonment with fine. And the next, just some couple of hours, you saw the JNIM coming out from the jungle and saying that, oh, we are ready to put a bounty, not in CFA franc, in Europe. Right? It was so urgent. So that was why we call it a reactional communique. They didn't mean it. Somebody felt like there was the need, there was a very, very urgent need to respond to the offensive of the Malians. All right. And look at the last move. From the communique to the bounty and to sending the element of the squad to 20 years of terms in prison with hard labor. Please, I want you to understand that language. Hard labor. You see, the type of hard labor you do in Europe, I want to promise you, is so different from the hard labor in Africa. The hard labor in Europe is different from the hard labor in Africa. So it is at this junction I would like to say that I appreciate you for joining this fight, because the fact that you joined the fight means that when Mali is under pressure, you are equally under pressure. I don't know if you feel the way I feel, but I can tell you that I feel the way you feel, because we all feel this pressure together. And when people ask us why are we so one-sided in our opinion, why is it that we find it very difficult um, to bring unity? You can only negotiate unity with people that are ready to negotiate unity. If Niger is talking about unity and Chad is bringing in people that came to the mainstream platform of their country and said, we are overtly monitoring the issue in Mali and we are supporting the destabilization. What does that make Chad? Nigeria used to be that country that, Nigeria is always the forward entity that they use in destabilizing sovereign states. Nigeria was supposed to be the proxy that would be activated to attack Niger Republic. Where is Nigeria today? They lied for so long about the security situation. Families, remember, before this recent kidnap that has now escalated out of proportion. Remember, I used to say it on the Android community that I don't like to talk about Nigeria because every time I do, I have a headache. You have Nigerian bloggers. Videos of kidnapping in Nigeria, they will say it's Mali. Some, they will say it's Burkina Faso. Some, they will say it's Niger. They lied. You see, there are some issues. You don't need to lie to yourself. You don't need to tell lies because the only person you can lie to is yourself. And one of the biggest issues you can lie about, and when you tell those type of lies, it will destroy you, is the issue of security. You don't lie about security. And now it's out in the open. According to the information we just heard, I just received an information some couple minutes ago. I said it's Nigerian information. I won't like to talk about it. So let me tell you this information. According to the information I just saw on my display through Sahara Reporter, a monarch in Ondo State, I don't know which monarch, but I'm going to give you the update on the next episode. They said he has just been abducted by gunmen, probably bandits. They said he was eliminated and his wife was kidnapped, the wife of a monarch. They lied for so. Ondo State is the southwestern part of Nigeria. They told you it was in the north. I told you a lot of time on this platform that in Nigeria, you cannot travel interstate. People, see, Nigeria. You see, even the, the aviation sector, they've inflated the price. Nigeria is a country where people always want to take advantage of the predicament of fellow Nigerians. It's a failed state, my family. In fact, it's beyond failed at this point. It's a disgrace. And a lot of people don't understand something. You think I will see you differently as a Nigerian when Tinubu is your president? Thank God for this young president in Benin. You see, your president, they call him the #1 person for a reason. He's your representative. As a Nigerian, when people see you, they see Tinubu through you. They are looking at you, they are seeing Tinubu. That's why when you travel to some nation, when you introduce yourself as a Nigerian, they ask you, how come that man is your president? Some people will not even talk to you because they believe you are no better than the person representing you. Because if you are better, you will be the one representing. It is how failed Nigeria is as a country. They lied about I've never seen a situation like this. They lied about everything. Look at the general that was the retired general that was abducted some days ago by bandits. He has been eliminated. The bandits were even so nice, they sent his body back. This is how terrible the situation of Nigeria is. Where retired generals, brigadier generals, and all whatnot are being abducted for free and there's nothing that will happen. And still, you have some 7 military officers that will come out, and you have some military chiefs that will come out and say that you have to accept these elements. They are your brothers. You have to live with them. You see, Burkina Faso is Burkina Faso is better than Nigeria. I'm being serious. I'm not being sarcastic. I can live in Burkina Faso. I cannot see. I'm telling you, living in Nigeria right now, living in Nigeria is not even a situation of securing Nigeria. It's a situation, and it is hard to talk to Nigerians. It is very, very hard. You know why you people love my information? Why you people are listening to me? There is this thing that low IQ conversation is meant for African people. I don't know if you've heard that information before, and high IQ conversation is meant for people outside the continent of Africa. If you look at my geography, the biggest community is the United States, followed by the United Kingdom, followed by Canada, followed by Jamaica. You even have Ghana, you have Saint Kitts Nevis, you have Germany, you have Russia, you have a lot of countries on this platform, right? Then you have Nigeria so far behind, and it is you have a few young Nigerians and you have the older Nigerians that watch, because there are still some of them that can apply logics. Go and look at the young Nigerians. Look at what they are doing. Look at what takes their attention. And even when some of them hear the truth, how do they apply themselves to it? I pity the future of this country, honestly speaking. Honestly. Nigeria, I said, what is going on in Nigeria? It's terrible. It's extremely terrible. And the fact that people continue to fight among themselves is very, very despicable. The thing is, you call yourself, there is tribalism because of the inefficiency of the political class. That is why you even have the time to have this lazy tribalistic conversation. Because if the government is working well, you won't have the time to remember where your neighbor comes from. It will be, how can you make yourself better? I have not seen one Nigerian that approached me that the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I'm doing it for national interest. You can never hear that around Nigeria. Conversations in the interests of every Nigerian. No. It is always for different interests. Are you for Yoruba interest? Are you for... What is coming for Nigeria is bigger than Nigeria at this point, because even the political class has been infiltrated. Some people are saying that Peter Obi should emerge. To me, I will be honest with you. This is my last message before I go. Sorry for taking your time, but I have to say this, right? And I appreciate you for this patience, but I have to say this. If Peter Obi emerges in Nigeria, it is far better than Tinubu. Let's first of all call a spade a spade. I'm a Yoruba person, all right? If Peter Obi emerges, he's far better than Tinubu in every way. In terms of age, in terms of capacity, in terms of capability and everything, he's better. Forget it. We've seen Tinubu. We need to see someone else. All right? We for every reason on the planet, look, Tinubu is, oh my goodness, don't even talk. You are embarrassing yourself when you start talking about Tinubu, but let's take Tinubu out of the picture. Atiku, oh my goodness, don't talk about Atiku. All right? But you see, the problem of Nigeria is at the point where I even wonder myself if you need one person like Peter Obi to undo the problem. You know why? I went to the ministry, I went to the registry, right, to register for my marriage. And in Nigeria here, I used to work in the government facility. You know, the funny thing is, every federal government infrastructure or state government that we went to, everybody we met were corrupt. Oh my goodness. Every individual we met, they were requesting for, if you are a Nigerian, you know what I'm saying. They were requesting for, okay, where is this? You've paid for the service, right? But they were all requesting for tips. A lot of people say that our country don't have border, they've been infiltrated and all of that. But you and I know that if you get to the Nigerian border and you pay, the guys at the border, they will let you. You know. So it is not just the job of the president. It is not just based on the credibility. No, 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 no. It is about every single Nigerian. Honestly, a lot of people will blame South Africa for different reasons, all right? But do you know that for Andrade, I am not in the position to speak for the Ghanaians. I am not in the position to speak for the people in Zimbabwe. I am not in the position to speak for, but you see, for Nigerians, I'll tell you this. I listened to a Gambian podcast. A Gambian person, and the Nigerians in Gambia, they said if you are a Nigerian and you want to come to Gambia, please lower your ego. I've seen a video before this xenophobia uprising in South Africa. A Nigerian came out and said, look at the houses I have bought. I own a complete estate. I am a Nigerian. Look at these South Africans, they are sleeping on the road. Please, let's not be biased. Let's be candid and sincere. You have the effrontery, the fortitude, and the temerity to say that in another person's country. And you don't know that he that is down fears no fall. Nigerian, that's what they are called. They are not Nigerians. They are called Nigerian, the people from Niger Republic. So when I heard, all right, when I heard what that Nigerian said, I was shocked to my marrow. Look at the situation in Ghana before they said Nigerians must go. All right. So when I see the South Africans saying Nigeria, 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 you know, I just look at them and I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how to react. They were beaten in the World Cup. I was not part of those who celebrated. All right. Nigerians need reform. Nigerians, they need reform. Anybody that emerges as the president of this country, for the person to be effective, it will look as if that president wants to strangle Nigerians. That is what it will look like. Because if you stop the bandits, how will you stop the Boko Haram? How will you stop the corrupt police officers? How will you stop the soldiers that carry their ammunition from the theater to go and give to terrorists? How will you stop the informants among us that give information to terrorists about troop movement? How will you stop that your neighbor that goes and connive with the people in the bush to come and take you because it thinks you have money? How will you stop that person in the hospital that your patient is in a state of like the situation is a pure emergency, but and you've paid like 3 million deposits, 3 million naira deposit, but we still tell you to tip them. If not, they won't attend to you. And in some situation, all right, the patient will go away. I have witnessed these things. It is the level of heartlessness that coexists with greed. How do you, if the government even gets better and they give and there is jobs, all right, how do you tell a Yahoo boy that have gained possibly 200 million, 300 million from scam? How do you tell the person that, okay, come back, let's serve the country? So the situation of Nigeria is now so systemic. In fact, it's beyond systemic. It's devastating. And let me be honest with you. Let me think from a non-Nigerian standpoint. If I am in another country and I see Nigerians flocking into the I'm being honest with you, I'll be scared. You know why I'm talking like this? Because you don't even hear this from regular Nigerians. The reason why I'm talking like this is because I have served in so many places. I have seen so many things. Peter Obi might have a good reputation. But who is he going to work with? He's going to work with Nigerians. And when you see, if Captain Ibrahim Traore was a president of Nigeria, I doubt if he will succeed to this point. And this is why we support the Burkinabe. This is why we support Mali. This is why we support Niger. This is why we support Botswana. This is why we support Namibia. This is why when some people hurt the interest of Nigeria internationally sometimes, I give it a second thought. Even though the excuse of the South Africans is so low, right? You have France. You have Turkey is coming to Nigeria with their forces, and their base is going to be on the southern side of Nigeria. You have US forces monitoring our oil. Who we sell the Nigerian oil to? Making sure that the petrodollar remains. To be honest with you, see, when you talk about the Nigerian situation, I don't see it. I don't see it. You see that place that people used to look at and they'd be like, I have hope. I don't see it. All right. So for me, in a couple months, so again, I changed my mind that next month, I might be considering Burkina Faso again. It's a country I'm really, really looking at. Even though other places that my partner, says she wants to go to, I am still, my mind is not leaving the Sahel. My mind is not leaving the Sahel at all. My mind is not leaving the Sahel at all. And most especially Burkina Faso. How beautiful will it be if I am speaking from inside Burkina Faso, having a first-hand information of what is going on inside Burkina Faso, being very close to Mali, All right, yeah, I will make a shocking video. All right, I will make a shocking video. You will suddenly just see us where we at. So yeah, I really appreciate you. And the reason why we did this live stream was because they tried to stop the information that we gave on the last video. So that's why I came back. So I want to appreciate everybody. Thank you and God bless you. So I'm going to be making a decision from now on. I might be making less videos. I might be doing more streams. The reason is because the Android community cannot make videos without receipts. And some of our receipts, they are so real to the point that it is against community guideline. So because of that, we might be doing more live stream, but we will find a way to do it in such a way that while we are doing the live stream, you can equally see the receipts, but not the, not the dangerous receipts, just the ones that are kind of acceptable. So I want to thank you all for joining the live stream, and I want to thank you all for your support. I blood them. It was the blur. See, once they see, even if I post the video, if I don't blur, if I just post, once I talk about receipts and there is a single blink on the, they are going to react. See my video, I know I'm one of the channel that have been selected for strict surveillance. We understand this, and you definitely know. If I was after money, I'm a very, very, in fact, I can call myself a superstar football analyst. I can analyze basketball. I can analyze boxing. I can analyze almost anything. This is me. Like, this is my best game. But I choose to do this because of the importance because this is how I feel like I can contribute to humanity. All right. And I feel like I'm fulfilled doing this. All right. So thank you so much and God bless you. Please, this information is very, very important. This is what the West are trying to do, and they are failing, and they are desperate. We need to be very, very attentive because we don't know what their next move will be. And up until their next move, I will keep you informed. Trust us to bring you a very, very good and reliable information. God bless you all. I wish you a wonderful day. Until I see you on the next video.